Good day to all of you. Shout out to our new subscribers and thank you very much to those who follow our uploaded videos. I hope your support will continue. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Let's start. A number of years ago, when I was in my mid-adolescent years, my family and I moved into a new house. It was only 1 story high with a basement, but had a nice appearance to it. It looked very cozy and welcoming. It had a small garden at the back with a bit smaller of a yard at the front. Best of all, it was close to my middle school and right in front of my high school. Overall, it was perfect. We lived there for 3 to 4 years before we moved out. It was in that house that I've learned later on that I was more or less sensitive to everything around me. It would explain why 95% of the things that occurred there had to do with me in the middle of it all. When we moved in, the house was still pretty small for a 4-member family, so I volunteered to take the room in the basement. It was a bit cold in the beginning, but I liked it. It wasn't even that scary because, you see, the staircase led right up to the front door. At the front door, there was a little area where we could take our shoes off. That area was connected with the staircase that led to the main floor. There was no door to block anything, which was why I wasn't really that scared with the idea that I had easy access to my family upstairs. Once we moved in, that was when everything first began. During my first year, the house was almost peaceful. The only thing that I can really remember about that year was my discomfort every time I walked up the stairs to the main floor. I always looked behind me, because I either felt like something watched or followed me. There were times that I literally ran up the stairs, with the feeling of being chased. Unfortunately, I could not last for a whole year down at the basement, so my parents switched their bedroom with mine when they took note of how cold I was. During my second year, everything went on both sides of the scale. Either really strange things happened or good things that still make me smile to this day. In that year, I think what triggered the whole thing was that I was bullied by my class behind my teacher's back and that I simply chose the wrong person to be my friend. I started to see things in the corner of my eyes, like shadows of some kind. I lost how many times the battery on my cell phone died right after I charged it to 100%, either during the day or night. I even found a small, almost childlike, handprint on my bookshelf, which was covered with dust at the time. Those aren't the strangest of things that happened to me. These are the ones that still make an impression on me to this day. I experienced dreams about death, which never happened before in my entire life. I dreamt of my family's death. I dreamt about me being murdered. Sometimes I was afraid of going to bed, so I tried to stay up as late as possible, and if that didn't work, I would have a nightlight on. Yes, a nightlight, which was just sad because I was in my mid-adolescence. I could not fall asleep without it being on, because I felt like something was out to get me. There was also full-body apparition for my brother and I, men and a woman for me. I saw a man, that one and only time, when I watched TV with my little brother in the living room. From the living room there's a full view of both our bedrooms, which always had their doors opened. One time while I watched TV, I looked over to the bedrooms and I saw a man in my brother's room. I had the impression that he wore a military uniform, but that was about it. Every other detail was very vivid at that time and wouldn't come to me until later on. It was then that, as if he felt it, he looked over at me. I didn't see it, but I felt him send a smile towards my direction. After that, he simply walked through my brother's computer desk and into the wall that was connected with my bedroom. I expected to see him enter my bedroom, but he didn't. I didn't find out later, after we moved out of that house, that my brother also saw the same thing. However, it wasn't his first time when he saw him. There were 2 other places that he saw him in. One of them was in his bedroom twice, once with me and once alone. When the whole family woke up for the day, we heard him scream his head off in his room. We ran in asking what was wrong. He cried out that there was a man in his closet. I checked, but there was nobody there, nor was there anything to make the illusion of a human, much less a man. The other place that he saw the man was in his dreams, which were filled a lot of the time with the images of the spirits of the house. The other man, which I very much doubt was even human to begin with, appeared once my parents got a garage built in the back of the house. The first time that I saw the man was when I looked outside my window to look up at the stars. I simply glimpsed at the garage door, which was open, and I saw a headless man stand there. I felt nothing but anger from it. Later on, again, I learned from my brother that he saw the same man headless and angry in his dreams. I don't really know if to count this one as a full-body apparition, but I will anyways. I saw an old woman in the body-length mirror in my room. I simply looked into the mirror because something caught my eye. Then something happened. The more I that stared at it, the more I noticed my face was completely changed in the glass to fit that of an old woman. That night, I had to put a whole blanket over the mirror via my father's help. I was simply too scared to sleep with it uncovered. There were times that I was touched. Sometimes when I lay in bed, I'd feel another person lay with me. The only reason why I felt it was because the air on only one side of my bed got really cold. In addition, the being always wrapped his or her arms around me, almost in comfort. I guess it made sense, because during that year I cried myself to sleep a lot of the time due to the bullying and my heart being broken by my so-called friend. I needed the comfort with me bottling all my feelings inside and hiding away in a shell. It's one of my more fond memories of the house, to tell you the truth. No matter how odd the experience got, I believe that it was the soldier. I don't know why, but whenever I felt the energy or think back to it, the first thing that came to my mind was the soldier. The only other time that I was touched was when I was at home all alone, in the evening. I continuously played brave, plus the help of my obsession with the computer also had a role in it, so I stayed at home alone during the evenings when my family went out somewhere. I always have my bedroom's door closed, because if I didn't I'd feel some sort of a glare sent to my direction from the living room. So, while I was surfing the internet, my ear was suddenly folded completely. My hands were either on the keyboard or on the mouse, so it was not me. The moment that I grabbed my ear, it unfolded, probably due to my screams of fright and shock. It never happened again. I heard voices as well from time to time, but only when I returned home from school. They always said "Welcome home" or "Welcome home, Rose." It still makes me smile to this day whenever I think back to those voices. I always smiled back at them, unsure of where they were, and then replied "Thank you." Though, there was that one time when I heard yelling at 3 in the morning. On that morning, I woke up for no reason. I looked at the time and saw that it was 3 a.m. The party in our neighbors had stopped long ago. My parents were in bed and so was my brother, which meant that the house was supposed to be as quiet as a mouse. It wasn't. I heard a man and a woman yell downstairs in the basement. I thought that it was my parents, but the more I stayed awake, the more I realized that it couldn't be them because they don't yell at each other in English. My family are immigrants, so English is our second, third, fourth language, depending on whom you ask. Next morning I asked my mom if she and dad talked at all last night at about 3 a.m. She looked at me strangely and said that they didn't. I never heard the yelling again. By the end of the second year, I did the unthinkable. I was alone in the house, in the afternoon, so I took that opportunity to do what I did. I threaded the spirits. Let me give you a bit of background first, before you judge me. Not that long ago, my brother experienced the man in his closet and I was really angry at the spirits. I believe that the spirits turned to my brother, because I tried to ignore them the best I could, since I started to believe everything happened inside my head thanks to my parents. So, there I stood there, hands on my hips, and threatened the spirits to leave my brother alone and go after me. Surprisingly, during my third year, nothing bad happened. The same things happened minus the apparitions, but a bit less frequently with an addition of a baby and little girl. I was having health problems during that year. The bullying was still there a bit by my ex-friend, and my grandfather passed away. I was emotionally broken. During my fourth year, I decided to do my own investigation. My parents still didn't believe anything that I said, so I very much doubted that they would get a medium or somebody to come and check the house. I was desperate and had to know what was going on. I did do things that are incredibly stupid now that I really think about it. The first thing that I did was record voices while I was home alone in the afternoon. I sat in the living room and asked all kinds of questions. Once I listened to the recording dozens of times, I caught only one voice each and every time. My question: did you guys try to comfort me because of my ex-friend? Answer: yes. The voice that said yes was a clear, child female voice. It freaked me out, but I thanked the spirits anyways for both talking to me and being there when I needed comfort. The other thing that I did was gone around and took pictures. I caught nothing until I went to the basement. The picture that I took in my parents' bedroom scares me even to this day. The second that I saw what I caught, I took another picture to make sure that it wasn't the lights or anything like that. It was gone. The red, glowing eyes that reminded me of blood were gone. I was so scared that I deleted that picture and ran upstairs. This time, I had an idea of what followed me. The best thing that I came up with was either an evil entity or demon. It explained a lot of things that discomforted it, confused or scared me. I don't know why it hadn't attacked me or anything, but I'm just glad that whatever it was didn't. Once we moved out of that house, I did a thorough research. At least, I did the best that I could. The only thing that I found was that the house went back to World War I and a record of one family that lived there, a husband the soldier, wife and a couple of children with a little girl among them. I found a picture of the man and I felt my whole being turned cold. I didn't know why, but I just knew it was the man that I saw in my brother's bedroom. I asked my brother to come and check it out. He said that it was the man that he saw in his bedroom and dreams. He went as far as to describe to me one other thing, that the man's eyes were brown. The moment that he said that, a flashback came out of nowhere to what I saw in his bedroom. Except, this time, there was an additional detail to what I saw, a young man in uniform, with kind expression and brown eyes. I stopped anything related with that house at that point. I pushed the whole thing into the back of my mind, to never be thought of again. The experience was rough, but I learned important things. My brother and I might be sensitives. There was such thing as the supernatural, and that I should never mess with it ever again, no matter what. Now that I shared my story with people that believe and have experienced what I went through, I can now finally move on. If you want to share your scary story, just email ytstarvlogshorrorstories@gmail.com.